So no one told you life was gonna be this way. Guys, I'm ready. This hypes me up. HBO Max drops tomorrow, which is returning the Friends out into the ether for streaming. Even though, you know, I'm rocking my shirt, I've got a Central Perk mug right over here, right in front of my existing Blu-ray collection of the entire series, but I'm lazy, and I would prefer to stream it rather than getting up and changing discs. I'm sorry, first world problems, I know. This is one of my favorite shows of all time, and in honor of this too coming out this week, I thought it would be fun to do another list, do like a countdown of my top 10 favorite TV shows of all time. So be on the lookout for that. That's probably going to come later this week. Honestly, I'm going to go ahead and give you some spoilers. This is on that list. I love this show so much. I've rewatched it. I can't even tell you how many times. There's even been many a week, month that it's just been something that I've had in the background while I'm doing other things. I adore it. I know that it hasn't aged all that well in the best of ways, but I still love it. And the older I get, the more I appreciate it. So let's go ahead. Honest Trailers release our honest trailers for the show. It's actually a pretty long honest trailers. This is 10 minutes and 20 seconds. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they have to say. So let's go ahead, pop this bad boy on and give it a watch. All right, here we go.
You watched it for free on TV. Then you paid to watch the reruns on DVD. You paid to watch the reruns again on cable. And you paid to watch the reruns again on Netflix. Now, get ready to
I'm not gonna lie.
HBO Max to watch the same reruns again.
I'm
Only
already
this
on
time
now,
it comes
so
with
I
an
win.
all-new reunion special. Again. That's been indefinitely postponed. Yeah, it hasn't
I've got
really
some
been our
mixed
day,
feelings about
or
that, to
week,
be
or
honest.
month, or even our year. Friends. Welcome to Turn of the Century New York, where coffee shops are more than just a place to charge your phone. The sweaters are extra chunky, and the furniture etiquette is just awful. Get your feet off the couch
No shoes on the furniture.
and meet the
They don't
friends.
listen to
There's
that, though.
Joey, an aspiring actor / human garbage disposal.
Hey, how much you give me to eat this whole jar of olives?
Cold cuts, ice cream, limes.
Custard good. Jam good.
Meat good.
Monica, a chef with some seriously undiagnosed OCD.
You see these little flower blossoms? They should be facing up, not down, because, well, the head of the bed is where the sun would be. You want to put the
Oh my
marshmallows
God.
in concentric circles. You don't know the system. Don't need nobody messing with the system.
Her brother Ross, who goes from depressed nerd
Hi. Someone at work ate my sandwich.
to manic unstable buffoon in 10 short years.
Hey, he got over it eventually.
Very hot. You don't even have underwear on.
Rachel, a sentient haircut who can only speak in complaints.
My life officially sucks. So this is brilliant.
Oh my God.
Rachel always cries.
Chandler, an insecure man-child who uses humor to run away from his
He's my
psychological
spirit
issues.
animal,
I have
unfortunately.
issues with commitment, intimacy. I make jokes when I'm uncomfortable. I'm hopeless and awkward and desperate for love.
And Phoebe, she's a wannabe musician with a mother who committed suicide,
My mom killed herself.
a father who abandoned her,
My real dad's the one that ran out on us before I was born.
and a stepfather in prison,
You know how my stepdad's in prison?
causing her to grow up in the streets.
I was living in a box. I used to beg for money. Someday I'll tell you about the time I stabbed the cop.
Whose estranged identical twin stole her identity to do porn.
Stop using my name. And shame on you.
And the dead woman she thought was her mother wasn't actually her
Take
mother.
away
Her real mother was alive the whole time.
all the goofy stuff, and it's really messed up.
This is too depressing. Let's just call her the weird one.
The only guy I've ever been crazy about is the one that missed.
Oh, David.
I may never see him again.
That's our Phoebe. If you want to know
I
what New
love
York
Paul
was like
Rudd,
in the
but I still,
90s,
like,
read a
I'm on
history
Team
book or
David
something?
there.
I don't know. But if you want to know what a sitcom set in New York in the 90s was like, Friends is the show for you. Watch these sporadically unemployed 20-somethings live in multi-million-dollar apartments. And it's a good thing that there's no crime because these doors will never be locked.
We have got to start locking that door.
That would be a sensible idea. Watch as they consume some of the finest legally clearable products.
I don't think
of the
Ross was ever
decade,
unemployed.
Like Daani water, Villa wafers, Diet Napple, Corona
What?
beer, Vinadvaya, and Sprito.
I've never
All
noticed
set
that.
against Network TV's version of New York's True Melting Pot, featuring a diverse cast of characters like...
Oh, okay, here it goes.
Here we go.
Oh.
Waiter, receptionist,
Like I said, it
Right with you.
clerk,
it didn't age well.
co-worker you never see again, Sassy,
I shared my pudding with you, man.
Seems like I would have remembered you.
There is Aisha Tyler and Julie.
Ross's short-term girlfriends. Come on, everybody. At least they tried. Let's give them a round of applause for doing the bare minimum. Through it all, experience the ups and downs of one of TV's worst love stories. Ross and Rachel, two of the least compatible people in entertainment history. Watch this neurotic intellectual and the spoiled anti-intellectual clash as... Ross likes Rachel, then Rachel likes Ross, but Ross has a girlfriend, so Ross dumps his girlfriend and dates Rachel, but they immediately break up, then get back together, then go on a break, then break up again. Then Rachel decides she likes Ross again, so he dumps another girlfriend. Then they immediately break up, then Rachel wants Ross back, so he says the wrong name at the altar and gets divorced. But now Ross doesn't want to get together, then they get drunkenly married in Vegas, then divorced. Then Ross gets Rachel pregnant, but they don't get back together, but also they're jealous of each
Mona.
other, but also they still decide not to get together. Rachel decides to move to Paris and rejects Ross, but then immediately changes her mind, and they actually do get together just in time for the series finale.
I don't care. It still makes me freaking cry every time.
Cheering for? I give
Every
this thing 10
time.
as tops. So settle in.
Yeah,
to
I mean,
binge one of the most iconic
that's
sitcoms
realistic.
of all
That
time,
wouldn't
featuring
last
all the
anyway.
unforgettable moments you love.
Oh.
Chenandolar Bomb.
Regina Phalange.
Dr. Drake Ramoran. We were on a break.
Just know what
Is
you're
it bad
signing
that
up
I
for,
still
because
quote,
when you
like,
watch this
a
weekly
lot of
show
the
all
ones
at
they
once,
just
you start noticing things like
did.
how inexplicably horny the characters are.
Oh yeah,
Stop staring at my breast.
all the time.
Nice and tight.
There it is. When's the dirty stuff
It was the
How,
90s.
cold the studio is.
Can you see my nipples through this shirt?
The thin layer of gay panic that covers everything.
Let your wrist go.
Oh my
So much.
god.
Whoa, hey, hey.
What's my boy doing with the Barbie?
So how goes the dancing? Gay yet?
Ah, I see what you mean. That's quite nice.
I'd say like 50% of the time,
More foosball.
And beer.
And
the arc at the
realization
end
every
was that it was
character in
bad
the show has
that they
just
were
one
feeling that
reaction
way.
to literally anything that happens.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
Oh my God!
Oh my God.
Oh my God!
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, stop it. Starring Cougar
I got
Town
nothing for that
Origins,
one.
Bangs of New York, Ross Dress for Less, Fiona Crapple, Matt LeBlanc look on his face, The Bing Bang Theory,
Okay.
Poultry, The Jenny, the one from Screen Junkies,
What?
Hooking Up with Relatives,
You don't kiss your friend's mom.
Wow.
Would it be okay if I asked out your sister?
I fooled around with Joey's sister.
Get off my sister!
Chandler getting handsy,
I have her panties right there in my drawer.
Mine is the red one. You took your eggs and you left.
This is smack dab
I don't
in the middle
care.
of the blue.
Freaking
Capital R, capital
Matthew
T.
Perry
I wanna go through the tunnel to
is the
other
king
side.
of making
You're
me
the
laugh.
world's best man ever. You freaked out. Don't judge me. I'm only human.
Could I be?
Could that
Oh,
report
God.
be any later? Could these margaritas be any stronger?
Could that shot be any prettier?
Could I be wearing any more clothes?
Could I be any more turned on?
Could I be more sorry?
How many of these? Yeah, like barely any of these were him actually saying it. Maybe he didn't say it as much as everyone thought he did. I like this jam here. It makes this so weird though. Oh.
Oh, come on!
Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Oh, come on.
Oh, come on!
I know!
I know!
I know!
I know!
I know!
I know! I know!
I know!
I know.
I know!
I know! I know!
I gotta say, like, a lot of these responses, like, defined my social interactions for a
Ugly
decade.
naked guys laying kitchen tile.
Ugly naked guy's taking his turkey out of the oven. Ugly naked guy's decorating his tree.
Ugly naked guy's using his new hammock. Ugly naked guy's got a naked friend. Ugly naked guy looks awfully still.
90s stuff.
Since when do you rollerblade?
Laserdisc Marathon.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yasmin Bleak. Sony PlayStation.
Yeah, me bleak.
Michael Flatley, Lord of the Dance.
Joey Buttafuoco.
Swing dance lessons.
What about those Goodwill Hunting guys?
Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan, they get mail.
Y2K panic.
Chicken soup for the soul.
Which one was Deep Impact and which one was Armageddon?
Stephen Baldwin.
I swear to God, I always got those movies confused too.
Stupid gap on every corner.
How you doing?
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
You know,
You.
I can't even like fathom how long and how much time it would have taken to go through and assemble this. The stripper. The I Hate Rachel Club.
Twins.
You got a minute?
Are you a friend of Rachel's?
I found my identical hair twin. You know it's twins, right?
Oh, yeah.
How could I find someone who looks exactly like me?
Dear white people. So,
Oh my
did
God.
Joey star in an early off-Broadway production of Interstellar?
I'm gonna get on this spaceship. But when I return, 200 years from now, you'll be long gone. But I won't have aged at all.
So long, Vic.
Need more friends? Click left to find more shows.
That was a
that'll
pretty
scratch
good
that
one.
friend's
I think
itch.
it ran a little bit longer than it needed to be, but I think that was mostly to drive home their point in a lot of those categories. I never realized how many times they like just like I know, and I mean I notice I know a lot, but not the oh come on, what was it? What am I trying to get to? The oh my god thing being like such a go-to reaction to something. But it makes sense. I feel like that's one of the most common ones, like, because I hear that all the time too, like, oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, for me, half the time when I'm reacting to something on, you can go through my channel, I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. But yeah, I love this show. I love all of these characters. They have a sweet spot in my heart. Like I said, not all of it's aged that well. Like they said, the representation in it for what is New York of all places. And I don't know if a lot of that had to do with just the era in which the show came about. But if you look at it too, it was one of the largest sitcoms, period, for like a long time. And like through that platform too, and like they said, you know, the gay panic section of this as well, there was some elements of that that they've sprinkled throughout the show. Like, sure, that was kind of like the norm of the time. I can't defend everything in the show, but like they did do quite a bit that was fairly progressive at the time, especially with Ross almost being wrong in every situation, especially with the comment about the Barbie. He ends up being wrong in the end of that episode, on the wrong side of the fence. And you can even compare that down to later in the seasons when they're looking for their nannies for Emma, and they come across Freddie Prinze Jr., who's a sensitive, emotional guy who takes care of kids, and Ross is uncomfortable about that because, of course, his own fragile persona and insecurities about it, and he thinks that's strange. It's weird. And by the end of the episode, he sees the other side of that. They bond. He's never seen again, but he, I mean, they always put them on the opposite end of the spectrum to make you aware that that person's feelings was wrong, that the right thing to do would be to accept that and acknowledge it and roll with it. And that's usually the kind of the lesson in that, especially with the Barbie doll episode, with that, as well as, you know, the arc with him and, you know, Susan and, you know, his ex-wife and all that with their relationship, and how, even though he does not like Susan because she's, in his eyes, the one that came in and ruined his marriage, eventually, you know, they still never get close, but they become a respectable unit. By the end of that arc, before she completely disappears from the show to go to Breaking Bad a couple years after, that she Ross accepts her and helps her and defends her and fights for her right to marry Carol and to, stand up to her parents. And it doesn't matter. She's like, be with the person she loves. Like, at the end of the day, there's usually a straightforward message that puts our characters on the right side of the fence at the time. Is it always landing? No. Is it always well-meaned or well presented? Probably not in the best manner, but this is still a time capsule of the period. So I would argue you can't really project a lot of today's sensibilities back into that time, because it just probably would not have flown on the air the way it was. And you did have people eventually show up like Julie and I'm blanking on her name, but the character Aisha Tyler plays later, that Ross and Joey both date. But I mean, I love it. I really enjoy it. I still find the humor funny and hilarious. I can watch it nonstop, just in the background. And every time, any of the emotional episodes, any of the hard-hitting ones, always nail me. And I might be in the minority on this these days. I know that the cool hip thing to do is to dog on Friends. And I don't know if that's just like the evolution of, viewership, the way we perceive things now, or a lot people looking back on it with a 2020 lens. It's still my favorite TV comedy that I've watched. I like How I Met Your Mother. I never really got into Big Bang Theory all that much. I don't know. After a little while, like I just never found one that could like take on that mantle that Friends left in that hole that Friends left in my heart when it all wrapped up. I always avoid watching the last episode because I still can't anytime I go on a rewatch, I avoid that episode because I just can't. I don't know. It just makes me sad every time. And to kind of touch back on the reunion thing, because it was originally supposed to be a launch program, title, special, whatever you want to call it, for HBO Max. But due to everything going on, of course, they haven't been able to film it yet. One of the concerns I have, as much as I'm excited to see everybody come back together, they were saying it was going to be unscripted. And I know they had, like, back when they were making the show, they had a really strong rapport with each other and dynamic, and they were connected. They flew. A lot of the stuff you see in the episodes is something they ad-libbed on the fly a lot of the time, or just rolled with it. There's some cuts that were actually bloopers that they just kept in. But, I know they still talk frequently. They have like a usual annual get together most of the time, but I don't know how much they're going to be in tuned or in sync with each other, having been not working together for so long, and to come in and do a full reunion unscripted special, just letting them go off the rails. I mean, I would feel like they would need to have some kind of framework to have this all kind of come out smoothly. I don't know how that would kind of play out. Maybe I'm just thinking about it wrong. Maybe unscripted in this context means something different in my head. I don't know. But I'm excited to see it. For the most part, a lot of them have aged well, except for Matthew Perry for the most part, because he had a really rough patch just from his addictions and all kinds of other stuff. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting because he also, as far as I know, hasn't really acted in a long time. Matt LeBlanc has a couple shows. I've seen the show episodes and a couple other things that he's been bouncing around on. Of course, Jennifer Aniston's continued to blow up. David Schwimmer's been here and there, mostly doing some voices, and I know he's done a couple of shows and whatnot. Courtney Cox was on Cougar Town? Is that the name of that show recently? Went on for like Scream. I'm sure David Arquette is back for Scream 5, so who knows, that maybe that's probably going to guarantee she'll probably be signing on for that too. Who knows? And Lisa Kudrow, who's always been hilarious. These guys, all of them are comedic geniuses, I feel like. And I think that they rode this line, and not everybody made it out on top of it, but they were a strong unit, and I'd love to see them all to get together again. It would make my heart a flutter. There's a lot of inconsistencies throughout the show too. Ages getting mixed up all the time. The numbers on the doors changing all the time. There's a, Ben, Ross's son, eventually just kind of disappears, who is played by Dylan and Cole Sprouse, which was funny to realize later when you revisit the show. And then, Emma eventually just completely disappears from the show after a certain point. Anyway, you maybe like hear her name like once or twice, but I love it. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's goofy. It's not like a slice of life kind of show, but it's exaggerated and I enjoy it. It's not as exaggerated as How I Met Your Mother, because that gets really insane, especially with Barney. But I think the show is a good time capsule of its time. It was well-intentioned, well-meaning at the time, I feel. Personally, that's how I feel. I know not everybody's going to feel that way, but that's just my takeaway on it. So I enjoyed it. Coming back, now being older than most of them were through a vast majority of the show, I can relate to so much more in this than when I initially caught on to it in my younger years. It's hilarious. I don't know. It captures a lot. It gets a little out there. It's a little ridiculous, but I love it. I can't wait to be able to stream it again once HBO Max comes out tomorrow. So that's interesting. I don't know. What did you guys think? Were you ever a fan of Friends? Were you ever a fan of any sitcom on television? Sound off in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts. If you were one of the Friends, which one were you, if you could pick? I honestly think that I am 100% Chandler. Yeah, man, I don't give that impression on here very much, but humor is a defense mechanism to me. I don't know. They're all very much caricatures of these types. They're not any of them aren't really real people. I'm sure there's people out there like this, but like I feel like they are very much kind of exaggerations of a lot of their traits, just for the entertainment value, obviously, but so it's hard to relate hardcore to just one or the other. But for me, I really kind of zoned in on Chandler. So sound off in the comments. Let me know your guys' thoughts, and we'll carry on that conversation after the video. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll be checking in later this week with my top 10 TV shows of all time. And yeah, we'll be talking about that then. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll catch you guys next time. Take care, everybody.